What if I told you that a Wall Street finance guy moved to a college town, started making bagels out of a borrowed kitchen, and turned it into one of the most profitable, beloved restaurants in town during a pandemic? He signed his lease in February 2020. Today on the Restaurant Incubator, I'm talking to Alex Brandwein, founder of Brandwein's Bagels in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. He went from spreadsheets and suits to flour-dusted aprons, and he did it without wasting time or money, the hard way and the smart way. So you're going to hear exactly how he tested his idea without a storefront, how he scaled without burning out, and the 3 numbers he watched like a hawk before he ever signed a lease. Whether you're an aspiring chef, a pop-up veteran, or just bagel curious, this one's a masterclass in opening smart and staying open. My name is Brandon Sharp. This is the Restaurant Incubator, where I help you save time and money opening your restaurant project. Let's get into it. All right, we're back on the Restaurant Incubator podcast. Today's guest, please introduce yourself. Tell us where you work.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Brandon. My name's Alex Brandwein. I'm the owner of Brandwein's Bagels in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Great. And so you were just on a call. You just brought breakfast. You were just exchanging texts. So you seem very busy. And so y'all have been open 5 years and 2 days as of today?
5 years and 2 days.
So give us a situation report.
Here we are. So we opened up 5 years ago. It is August 2020. I signed the lease on February 14, 2020.
32 days later, everything stopped.
Everything stops. Yeah. I went from thinking I had a good idea to fearing that I might be the worst student that ever went to Keenan Flagler Business School at UNC. But little by little, here we are today. We stayed open every single day during the pandemic, and I give a ton of credit to our team. We went from a 1,200 square foot space to now 3,600 square feet. We ended up going from renting our real estate to owning it. We expanded from what was just to be a retail bagel shop to a bagel shop with a full-on catering opportunity. So it's been incredible.
And so I saw the piece about the black and white cookie, but I'm not familiar with the New York black and white cookie. Tell us about that.
This is a classic. Like any deli you go to, every New Yorker that has ever been to any place in New York City loves a black and white cookie. They call it a half moon cookie some places. And we've been asked for it for like literally since the day we opened. Where's the black and white? Can we get a black and white? When are you getting it? And I've taken it like samples around and doing little testing with some friends to make sure that like this was it. It had everything. And I'm from New York originally. So that was something that was like close to my heart too. I even like had my mom ship back black and white cookies to us. Nice. So, and any friend that was up there, like we were doing all the research, and it was another like testament to what the shop is, which is sharing a little bit of piece of where I'm from with this community that I've loved and has supported us so much. And so a chance to share one new thing. And we wanted to cap off 5 years. Let's do something new. So we did a black and white theme. We did black and white bagels. We did an Oreo cream cheese. And then we did, which is a little bit off base, but then we did a black and white cookie.
Nice. Amazing. Well, it seems like every time I get an email from y'all, there's something new. There's salads or there's sandwiches or there's biscuits, black and white cookies. So tell me how you continue to expand your culinary footprint that way. It's
been at the base of it all. We want to be a place that just gives you great food, just classics done really well. It was never the plan. It was always just, let's just have great bagels, something that hits the mark that you taste and you're like, oh, I feel that nostalgic New York City classic boiled and baked bagel. But the talent in our kitchen and then what people were looking for was perfectly matched. And it was exciting for our team to not just be doing bagels every day, but making different breads or different sandwiches or salads. And for us at our core, our company's mission is to make people's days better with good food done well. So if we can do that and do it in a way that we can do it consistently, we want to make it. And so really anything's sort of on the table as long as it fits those parameters.
And so did you learn from them? Did they learn from you? Or are y'all doing R&D together to develop these recipes?
It's a lot of learning. I think I had the concept in place, but the talent in the kitchen, that is all of our team. I learned how to bake for bagels, but I had no cooking experience prior to this. My background was in finance for about 7 years, working in investment banking and private equity. Getting into a kitchen was something that I did not do at all. I was ordering sushi basically every night after college. But bagels just was a fun thing. So I really got into making those. But once we got to a certain scale, it's about knowing what you don't know and bringing on a team that had tremendous amount of experience and talent. And then we sort of know what we're going for and then able to collaborate to sort of get there.
Well, tell us about the spark or the tipping point that took you from finance into bagelry.
Sure. I'd love to say there was like a masterful, like beautiful moment. It really just happened over time. When I graduated I went to Wisconsin-Madison for undergrad. Okay. My mom was in finance for years and was the main provider in our family. And I always wanted to do that. I loved being on teams. I loved competing. I loved performing at a high level. And so I found myself in the investment banking, private equity world. And I sort of hit a moment where I thought maybe there's more to it. Maybe there's other ways to do business. I never felt like this was exactly my home in a lot of ways. And coming to Chapel Hill, going to business school sort of opened all of that up. And when I got here, for me, like bagel shop, that's my North Star. So wherever I go, where's the bagel shop? In Madison, they had one. One of my close mentors went to Virginia, and they've got a classic bagel shop in Charlottesville. And here I was like, where's that downtown New York style bagel shop? And the pieces started to come together.
Okay. Amazing. Well, it seems like before opening the storefront, you ran a pop-up, sold out of 650 bagels in Chapel Hill. Is that correct?
That's right.
So how did that early validation shape your concept and your confidence? And also, where did you cook them?
So we cooked them at what's amazing. Our location was a commercial kitchen. Okay. And so I was working at Midway Community Kitchen and renting space there. Okay. I had no idea what this was. I didn't come here thinking I'm going to open up a bagel shop, or even once I got the idea that this thing was going to work. And that added a lightness to it. It didn't have to work. It was, let's just see how it goes. I'm a big person on, we need sort of wind behind our back, not if you build it, it will come. Or they will come. And so for us, the first pop-up said, okay, people came, and we did one immediately the next week, and more people came. And then more people came. And so there was that consistency. We did pop-ups in a lot of different ways around town. And that started to build the confidence that there was something here. And that for me started to answer. Really, for me, I had 3 questions going into this. 1, does anyone else want this? Or is it just me? And for me, I was new to Chapel Hill. I was new to the area. Was I the only one that really valued a classic, authentic New York style bagel? The second question I had was, how do you actually do it? Not just make the bagels, but actually be and run a business. And the third question is, and people don't always bring this up, but will this make money? Will this actually provide for myself and a future family one day? And so the first question of, do people want this, was doing these pop-ups, create as close to what they call a minimum viable product of what our bagel shop would look and feel like. So at night, I was hand rolling every single bagel. I had friends from school helping me. We decorated. We woke up at 6 a.m. I even had one of my professors came and was one of the helpers that day. And little by little, it started to legitimize itself.
Amazing. Was it the best class? It wasn't a class project. It was probably the best class project Keaton Flagler's ever done, like most successful, most popular. They're going to be teaching it in school, I'm sure.
I don't know about that, but it's been, the support of UNC was how much they jumped into it. And I came from a real estate background. I came from finance. And I remember going to Dave Hartzell and Jim Spaeth, who are 2 of the real estate leaders at Keaton Flagler, and telling them, I may not be going into real estate. And they immediately grabbed a notebook and said, cool, what do you want to do? And the more I leaned into this idea, the more they leveled up and had questions and ideas and people for me to meet with. And that was really special as part of this journey.
Well, I think the very first part of that is something that is going to be it's probably on the mind of a lot of listeners. Is like, I have an idea. I want to test it out. I want to get proof of concept. How did you market those pop-ups?
I was a big boots on the ground person, and that marketing strategy has been consistent for Brandweins. the best thing to do is give people the product and do it in a really fun way. So for us, we're in the middle of the pandemic. There's a million things going on.
Yeah.
We created this thing called Where in the World is Brandweins? And it was friends telling friends and basically a pass it on of where they wanted to send their friend bagels. And once I dropped off bagels for their friends, they would tell me where they wanted to drop off for the next person. Nice. We went to every single apartment complex and introduced ourselves. Every friend, everyone that we could give a bagel to, we wanted to. And that started to create some support. Because for me, if one person knows and they love it, they have a connection, they have an experience, that's more valuable than doing really anything else.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. One thing I wanted to dig into is I think, you hear if you build it, they will come. And I think that is a very dangerous myth in business. Do you mind? And I was glad to hear you bring that up. Do you mind just teasing that out a little bit more?
Absolutely. I feel like there's a lot of like entrepreneurs, and I don't even feel like an entrepreneur. I felt like someone that was just having an idea. In a lot of ways, I felt like I was having fun again and using a lot of my skills and experiences to actually play with something and explore it, and not feel like if I just do it, everyone else will be there. So I really loved the feedback. I welcomed it. I wanted someone to challenge me. I wanted someone to say why this isn't going to work. I can even hear some of my old bosses saying, why doesn't this already exist? Why isn't there a bagel shop that's successful? And truthfully, I'm not that bright. I'm not the first person to come up with a bagel shop idea. And so trying to figure that out made it fun, and just being curious about it. Big thing I like to tell people is like, you really need to convince yourself. Have you answered every question? Have you looked yourself in the mirror and looked at every single reason why this wouldn't exist? Is there a good answer? Is there a reason why it will work? And so just opening it and hoping it will happen. And we'll get into it. The finances, the number of people you're going to hire, I can't look them in the eye if I don't feel like I've looked at everything. And one of the things I learned is know what's knowable. Okay. Ask yourself every single question, because so many other things are going to come up. And so if you can de-risk it in that way, it'll give you a lot more confidence.
Is there a formal name for that practice of going through the reasons why this won't work? Because I find that very valuable when we're looking at a new project. Is it? But I don't know if there's a formal name for it.
I'm not sure exactly. I think what I did for myself is I actually made my own investment memo for myself. I wrote out the pitch. An investment summary. Why does this work? I literally wrote it to Alex Brandwein, to my board of me, and said, here's what the opportunity is. Here are the investment. Here's what we think is exciting about this opportunity. Here are the potential risks. Here are the mitigants to those risks. Here's what the market looks like. Here are the other competitors in the space. Here are the competitors in other similar college towns throughout the U.S. Here are the numbers of what we need to achieve and how we think we can do that. Looking at all of those metrics and working through that process was very valuable for me, because not only working through it by myself, but then sharing it with others led to more questions, and having to go back and keep refining it allowed myself to get more confident, or at least become more knowledgeable about whether or not this would work. And for me, we did that first pop-up. Did I want it to work? Absolutely. But if it didn't, no one showed up the second time, I was okay to be like, all right, it's not there. And I'd rather that than sign the lease, spend the money, and put yourself in a much worse situation.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you taking us through the parts of the business plan, because that's something that I kind of go over and over on this podcast, so that people understand how important that is. You're in the unique position of having sat on the other side of the table, I imagine, as an investment banker. So when you are the potential investor who's looking at a proposal, what are the most important things in the proposal, and what is the most important thing that you look for in the person who is asking, for an investment?
So for the proposal itself, I really want to feel like they've looked at every single angle here. And for me, it's why does this fit in the market? And why doesn't this exist? What is going to be unique, and really making that matrix? What are the different components that you're going to offer that aren't currently here? And why are people going to move towards that? The pop-ups were a big part of that. answered that question. The consistency of it, the quantity and volume that we sold, gave me the confidence that there was demand for this product and that the numbers would work. The other question is, how do you do it? And was I the person to go do it? And did I want to? And that was the question that kept coming back to me is, you just moved here. You just got here. Do you really want to be in Chapel Hill? Is this the place? Are you committed to this? Are you willing to give everything? And I think that's a big question. I think it's easy to say you're ready to give everything until you're actually in it. And the pop-ups did that too, because it required me to go all out, stay up all night, roll every single bagel. I had small batches. My batch size was about 40 bagels. And so I had like a few crock pots on a stove. I'm boiling. I'd get in around 11 or 12 at night and just start boiling and baking bagels all night long. Having the team prepared, setting them up, putting out the marketing, doing the design, doing the logo, doing everything. And the question is, do you enjoy it? Do you want more of that? And I loved it. Like, absolutely loved it. I even went so far as to get a job at a bagel shop.
Okay.
Again, I've been in a cubicle for the last 7 years. Had I just sort of glorified this idea of being in a bagel shop, or did I really want to wake up at 4:00 in the morning, burn up my arms, and come running around the bend yelling out hot sesame?
Right.
And I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I wanted more of it. And so I needed to validate for myself. And so if I'm trying to make that decision, I'm trying to look at the actual business plan, and I'm looking at the person who's running it, what their plan is, how they're going to organize it, how are they going to build a team around it, and actually make it happen.
Okay. Well, when I look at your location, your brand, even this style of the menu lettering up above the register, website, logo, everything, it seems very aligned. And you talked about, doing the bagels, but also the logo yourself. Did that alignment happen organically? How much of it, because I mean, even the patio furniture is aligned with the brand. How much of that is premeditated? How much of it just became it was because this is Brandwein's Bagels and that's what it is? How much happened organically?
I really appreciate that, Brandon. Everything was thought through.
Okay.
Like every piece of furniture, the menu board, the logo was made by my best friend, Joe, in New York, who understood what we were going for.
Okay.
A classic feel, but with some fun and colors. And so everything about it was thought about. For me, it wasn't just the product alone. What's fun about what we do is there's an experience, and you can create that from the moment people think about coming or wanting food. What's that look like? When you see the building, when you see the spot, when you see the communications everywhere, I wanted every part of that to be thought through. And so it was all very well planned out. I would literally just sit across the street before we signed the lease at different points of the day just to see what the flow of the business was. And also just personally trying to decide, can I see myself here?
Yeah.
Do I want to, I'm like, is this it? And the building looked completely different. We painted it white. We did a lot of work to it. And I'm looking at this sort of 1970 built dark red brick construction. And I'm trying to see, like, is this the place? Is this the place? So there was a ton of time, and there continues to be. I feel as a small business, each one of those decisions can be very important. They can be little wins along the way, which I think was really great for my momentum and seeing the vastness of what you're trying to do. But we don't have the luxury of not thinking through every one of those pieces. We really like to go slow to go fast, because if you can't follow through that one moment, that affects a customer's experience.
Okay. When you were building the team, I have to imagine it started small. And then what was the first salary position that you created, and tell me how that came to be? Because to me, that's always a big, I've worked in companies that were top heavy with salaries, and I've worked at some that ran lean and mean, and there's a big difference there.
Yeah. So we actually went salary first. Okay. I didn't have a food background. If we were going to do this, I needed someone that had been in restaurants. Okay. And so we really hired a head chef first. And so that was our first hire. We actually hired him even before we signed the lease.
Okay. Right.
Like, we were that early, because I wanted it was important that he was invested, involved, and I think it was exciting for him to get to be a part of the creation of this thing, not to say, okay, here's the restaurant, go build it, but in fact have a say about where the ovens go relative to where the stovetops are, relative to where the hand sinks are, relative to wherever. And so someone that wanted to be involved. So that was our first hire. And it really went from there to bringing on the rest of the team.
If you're enjoying today's episode with Alex Brandwein and you would like a little help with the business side of the restaurant business, click that link in the show notes. I've built some digital tools that I think can help you out. Back to the show. Okay, great. Yeah, that's crucial. I've also seen chefs brought in at certain stages in the processes, and sometimes you hire a chef and it's like, okay, man, here's the menu, and sometimes you hire him and it's like, okay, help us lay out the kitchen so you can get the ergonomics right.
Yeah, we were right in it together. So he was hand in hand with me during the pop-ups. We did like 2 more pop-ups to like launch that we had just signed our lease, and he was right there with me. I think it was important for him to understand what the company was. And then I was right there with him. I'm making designs on PowerPoint, which is where I'd lived. I'd measured every inch of the building and like recreated my own drawings. And then we were playing around where we wanted equipment to go, how we wanted things to be set up. And that played a huge part of it. So we had our head chef, myself, and then a third person who was sort of advising, who had a lot of kitchen experience. Who was also helping us. So the 3 of us spent a lot of time in that space. It was never just one person saying, go off and go do it.
Okay.
We all wanted to have a view and a say. And for me, while I had no kitchen experience, I really loved thinking about things from a customer's perspective and from a flow perspective of how things will go, how they will operate. I thought about why, certain lines go certain ways and how they think about it, and looked at a lot of different businesses that I admired and used that to try to do it the best way, at least I thought we could at Brandwein's.
And then so after how many years before you expanded into the former bakery next door?
We were about 1.5 years in.
Okay.
It was early.
That's fast.
It was early, but when the opportunity came, we couldn't not do it.
Yeah.
We were off to a good start. We were in the black from day one, and we're in the middle of the pandemic. And I always thought about that building. I just thought there was something special. In downtown Chapel Hill, parking is so important, and that building had a parking lot. And we had our little space, and then this couple, James and Joyce, came to me and said, we're ready to step away. The pandemic has been a lot, and we're ready to sell. And before we take it to market, Alex, would you be interested in taking over the space? And it was early. It's now, we opened in August and they came to us in January.
Wow. Okay.
And it took a long time to sort of work through the deal, work through all the steps that came with that. In addition, I wasn't going to buy that building without owning our existing space.
Yeah.
And it was really important if we were going to do this that I needed to own the real estate. The investment that we were about to put into it was going to be so significant that if I didn't own the real estate, that would have been sort of a deal breaker for me. So it was early. We were sort of at a decision point. Do we open up a second location, or do we really double down on what we've built here in this community? And there were a lot of decisions that went into that. But I thought this was a rare opportunity that I couldn't pass up. And I think for anything with this, you're going to get a lot of advice, a lot of people that want to tell you what they would do and how you should do it. I'm sure you've gotten all the same. But I always said to myself, at the end of the day, I need to be able to look in the mirror and know I did it at least the best that I could. Because if it does fail, or if it doesn't go right, at least I could say, I didn't have a regret, and I should have trusted my gut on that one. That I couldn't live with.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. So I have in my head that the 2 buildings are connected. Are they not connected in the back?
So they are. They weren't originally.
Okay.
There was it was our small building, which ended with our walk-in cooler. There was space. There's space between it and then the start of the next building. And so we literally moved our walk-in cooler and went through the wall of the other space and created a connector between the 2.
Okay. And then so you talked already about laying out the equipment, all the ergonomics of the original space. So did you so you expanded, was your ability to produce bagels or other things a constraint there? And were you looking just to do more of the same, or did you have it in mind already? I'm going to do catering. I'm going to do lunch, different products, and that sort of thing.
This was the catering opportunity.
Okay.
So it really came naturally. I'd never had a plan for it, but little by little, can we get a box of bagels? Can I get a to-go tote? Do you guys do any platters? Can we do some like boxes? And little by little, our space is filling up. And at the time, there's no one sitting in our front of this building because of COVID. And so we've just got boxes now and more catering boxes and more catering boxes. And I started to see an opportunity in the market. And I thought what we could offer from a local offering, from a scratch offering, was something that was unique. And it was starting to, again, it felt like we were experiencing the same thing, where the wind was behind us, similar to the pop-ups going well, leading us to open up the actual shop. This catering was going from 5% to 10% to 15% of our business. And that for me was the moment where I said, let's give this a real push. Let's see if we can create a catering company to go along with our retail bagel shop. And that I wouldn't have opened up or bought that building if I didn't believe there was an opportunity there.
Okay. And then so what was the build up to the full scale catering operation like? Was it a van? What was all the equipment involved that you had to that was a additional capital?
It felt like we were starting a whole new business again, truthfully, building the team. It's funny, this was the first time that we took on outside capital. So we took on an SBA loan, a 7A loan, and that was a big deal. So actually going out to the market, again, I had pitched myself on the first one. It was bootstrapped, just us. And my experience of taking other people's money, I take a lot of caution in that. And so going to a lender and in order to buy the real estate and do this expansion required a lot of thought. A creation of another investment committee memo, this time for people that were going to be, owning 80%, 85% of everything. And so there was a lot of work there. And then I thought immediately we'd open up and we're off to the races. It changed everything. Going from 1,200 square feet to 3,600, we were all within a few feet of each other to now we've been spread out. Our team size has doubled basically. And we needed to create more infrastructure internally. And interestingly, we probably spent the first year playing more defense and building a new foundation of what this company was. It didn't really feel like we were this mom and pop shop anymore, that we really needed to have strong bones if we were going to go start to play some offense.
Okay. And so how did you build was there a template that you had that you built that company infrastructure on? How did that come about?
A lot of experience, a lot of different people that had experience. We went to outside third party HR companies as well. The business school was very helpful too, to learn where we wanted to spend time. And it's funny, so many people talk about core values and mission statements and vision statements, and I was the first one to say I can't stand those because they always felt generic. They felt insincere. And if I was going to do this, we were going to be the place that was going to be sincere, that was going to be authentic, or at least try to be. But as we grew, I started to realize we didn't, what was in my gut wasn't always being communicated well to the rest of the team. And if we are going to be a bigger company, if people are going to be acting independently, if we're going to have different departments, we need to make sure that vision and that mission and how people go about their days was consistent. So the first thing we did was spend a ton of time sort of articulating my gut, is what we said, and spend hours working through what is Brandwein's mission. And we got to, our mission is to make people's days a little bit better. And we got a lot of pushback on that. That's not grand enough. It's not big enough. You got to shoot for the stars. And I said, but that's what we do, right?
And that's actionable. That has missions and verbs in it.
Yeah, it felt real. It felt like that's what we do. We want to be the place after a hospital worker's worked overnight at a shift that they can come in, and we made their day a little bit better. We got them a bacon, egg, and cheese. We actually said their name and spelled it correctly. We got them in and out. We didn't have to have in that moment a big conversation because they didn't want a big conversation at 6:30. They just wanted their bagel, their chocolate milk, and to go on their way. And for me, that's, I love it. Love it. And so that became our mission. Core values are be caring, Be caring about the people around you. Be caring about the work that you do. Be hungry. You have to have this love to do. It's not just being a hard worker. You want to finish your day feeling full because you love going above and beyond. The next one's be humble. Embrace our humanity. I make a million mistakes. I'm sure I've made a million just chatting with you. But that's okay. It's about being real. It's about raising your hand and saying, I messed up, or I'm sorry that I was late, or I'm sorry that I didn't understand that. Let's be accountable. And that humility part actually builds connection at the end of the day. The next one is be thoughtful. Step back, see the big picture, make good decisions, be resourceful. And the last one's be positive. If you can't be positive, you can't do anything. It just shuts everything down. And because we now use those values in our hiring, in our interviewing, in our onboarding, in every conversation, it really helped create a through line of what this company was about at the end of the day. And I really think that was the key for a successful expansion.
Okay. Yeah, right on. So you have such an amazing, loyal, local following. Everybody knows the name of your business. And it evolves around the core product, right? It evolves around the bagels. Like, they are 10 out of 10. They're delicious.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But there are I can think of a couple eating places. Some are restaurants, some are other in Chapel Hill that have a great core product, but I don't go back there because the service is so dismissive. But so what is the message to the team about the importance of return guests, about retaining local support and those sorts of things? Is it part of the core values as well, or is there a separate guest facing sort of persona or message?
Oh, that's so interesting. I never even thought about it that way. For us, if we're hiring people that want to live that life, whose their personal values tie into our core values, the natural extension is to take care of people, that they want to make sure the person that came in had a great experience, because that's genuinely who they are. That's what makes them go. And Brandweins is then a great vehicle to go do that thing. And so we talk a lot about the core values. We give people tips and ideas and solutions and things that we've seen work of what makes it special, and try to train those into what we do. But at the end of the day, we tell them, you're the face of Brandweins. Like, go be that. Go trust your instincts. If you want to go give that person a free cup of coffee, or they want to try a barley because they just keep looking at it, please give them a barley, give them a cup of coffee. Trust the gut. Trust how you would want to be treated. This is your chance. And in our interviews, we ask them 2 questions always. I always ask them first, what's a time they've had a great customer service experience. Okay. And they often tell us when they've worked in other previous jobs, and they tell about a customer or a moment that they remember. And then I ask them, what's a moment that they have when they've been a customer? And those 2 questions always allows me to know, did they get it? Do they remember? Do they recall when that person went above and beyond? It's not just food. They're trying to buy clothes. They're fixing their car. Do they remember when someone did that extra special thing? Did that mean something to them? Because if that's within them, I know that they're going to want to go do the same thing for somebody else. Not just because their boss told them to, or because that's the expectation, but it's innate. They go to a random place and they recognize when the server is really sensitive to their dietary restrictions, or that they sprinted to the car with some umbrellas and they remembered when someone did that to them. And if they see that, I feel really good about them doing that in our space.
Yeah. It's like the ones who have that 51% hospitality gene, or however Danny Meyer describes it. It's like that they're past that tipping point of they always want to do well for somebody else. And
Setting the Table is one of those books, though. I loved it. Whenever I'm lost, whenever I'm going somewhere else, I will pick that book up again. It's like one of my absolute favorites. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I feel like I'm in trouble with Danny Meyer. Man, I messed that up. But it is always great to refer back to it.
Yeah.
Well, I think about bakeries and flour, water, yeast, and salt. Like those things have to be right. Yeah. Bageleries. I've made bagels twice, but how do you prioritize your ingredients? How do you source them? And also, what do you use for water? Tell us about how the water is used, the temperature, the quality, all those things. What about those variables?
Yeah. The bagel's everything. I think when making decisions on product, I always want to go all in on what makes your thing special. No matter what, lean into that. Even when things start, who knows what's going on in the rest of the world, lean into what makes you great. And so for us, we couldn't cut corners on the bagels. And so getting barley malt syrup and finding a distributor from New York who literally is the same barley malt syrup for tons of bagel shops in New York City, we are getting pallets shipped down to us. Like, there's only 5 ingredients. If one of the 5 was not it, we're off by 20%. So that was huge. The flour, our flour comes from Lindley Mills. It's organic, it's non-GMO. And there's a connection there. Caroline Lindley is sort of the next heir to the throne there. And she was the one that sat down with me. She was 1 year ahead of me at the business school at UNC. And we had lunch at Al's and talked about it. And she's like, if you ever want to get flour, just let me know. And I was driving, every so often to pick up 25 pounds here, 50 pounds there, 30 minutes out to Graham, North Carolina. So we had a connection there. So that was the flour. That was the barley malt syrup. And then the process, you have to boil it. Your bagels, that is what creates the shiny exterior. That's what protects that doughy, airy, amazing interior in order for it to be a bagel. So there was never going to be, you had to boil it. The water thing always scared me because that was the number one question that I always got. Like, where do you ship into your water? How do you get the water? What's the deal with the water? And I sort of ended up with, after doing a huge sort of deep dive into understanding Chapel Hill water relative to New York water, that overall it was relatively the same. It wasn't significantly different. And more often than not, it was really just New Yorkers being New Yorkers.
Wherever they went.
Wherever they went, protecting what they've got. And they're just saying that their bagels are special. And like, I'm never going to take away from that. Like, there are some bagel shops in New York City that just blow me away. And when I got into this, I actually went back to New York a few times and walked from Bo's Bagels in Harlem, walked 13 miles all the way through, eating every single bagel I could, all the way down to Leo's Bagels in the financial district, trying to understand like what were all the different little things that made it special. And for me, it wasn't the water at the end of the day, and that you had to boil it. And a lot of places, when it left New York City, and we're talking now like 1930s, 1940s, people started skipping steps. And for us, I wanted to go back to what was authentic. I actually worked at I spent 2 days working at the bagel shop that I grew up going to in my town. And got to be in it and see it and share in it. And it was really important that we stayed true to the bagel. And I kept sending them back home, making sure that like family members and friends thought that like this was going to be something that they could say, okay, you got it.
And you got 2 thumbs up from them?
I got the 2 thumbs up, which was critical. Otherwise I couldn't have moved forward with it.
Well, it sounds like you were incredibly thorough in your approach with the pop-outs, with the pop-ups, with the sitting across the street, envisioning it, watching foot traffic, watching car traffic. What are some other, are there any other pieces of, I guess, do or die advice you would give to aspiring restaurant owners?
I really, again, like the pop-ups were so important. I think you need to ask yourself, are you enjoying this? I think that gets lost in this all, because that needs to be the thing that defines it. Are you loving what you're doing? Because I've had conversations with people, and I've told them exactly what I've shared with you, Brandon, about the different things. And they look at me and like, they know they've got a good idea. And then they're like, oh, that sounds like a lot. Like and I thought to myself, I'm like, are you kidding? Like, I loved it. I reached out and probably emailed, 50 different bagel shops outside of North Carolina. And one of them, Rosenberg's Bagels, Josh Pollack, who is another native of the tri-state, went to in Denver, Colorado, met with me, spent 4 hours answering a million questions and introducing himself and sharing his love. And he's someone I still talk to today, but it went through a lot of like, I can't talk to you. No, I won't talk to you. No, I won't share with you. And I'm not going to give you the answer. And finally somebody gave me a chance. And that process was fun. I loved it. I loved walking up and down New York City. I loved going into different shops and understanding what made them special, and why do you like to order first and then walk them through the sandwich build and then pay at the end? Or why do you pay first? Or how do you make, for us, we have 2 lines. We have, like, I always thought it was frustrating that you can go into a place and have to wait for someone to order the fancy coffee or the fancy sandwich. gosh, I just want to
I just
get a
want my
black.
medium roast. Yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
just want a medium roast and
Yeah.
get me out the door.
Uh,
So we made a line called the Just Bagels line. If you're
yeah.
coming in just to get a half dozen or coffee or spread or something that's quick and easy, you shouldn't have to wait for the person that's getting,
Six custom
six
sandwiches. Yeah.
custom sandwiches. And I like that was really fun to come up with that and make the Just Bagels line. Cool. Let me just get in and out. And if you're not enjoying that process, if you're not reading the two bagel books that exist in the
Uh,
world and knowing and understanding what's going on with it, that you don't want to be in the dough, that you don't want to be doing every single one of these jobs. And I think it opened up to me, you're doing every single job. And, I'm out the shop every day. I've done pretty much every job, and there's nothing I would ever ask anybody else to do that I wouldn't do. Exploring that and getting the time to do it was really important. And I feel like those pop-ups and the time spent in the shops gave me the confidence to move forward. I had been in it. I had suffered through all sorts of different moments and different challenges, and all of that sort of said, okay, let's go do it.
One thing that I think is a little that I'm guilty of and was a little bit dangerous for us was when we set up Hawthorne and Wood, we were a little bit defensive about saying we don't do this, we don't do that. So internally, I said to the opening sous chef, we don't do we don't do pasta, we don't do filled pasta, we don't do charcuterie,
Okay.
and we don't do takeout, and we don't do offsite catering. And so some of that was to preserve the guest experience, preserve our sanity. And I don't think any of it was intentionally prideful, but in the 6 years in between saying that and now, we have done charcuterie, we have done takeout, obviously, we have done filled pasta, we've done all these things that we said we weren't going to do, and I feel good about them. And with you, I just want to go back to you again, going from, because I'm thinking about how good the Reuben is.
Yeah.
But I imagine you started with just bagels, and then you added bagel sandwiches, and now, salads, biscuits, black and white cookies, everything like that. Was there a framework that you had about we just do this? And then was it a hurdle for you to get over to say, okay, now we're going to give in and do that? Or did it feel just like a generous thing to the public?
It's actually interesting. Like, I feel like, just learning from you of how you're thinking about that is actually like would have been educational for me. I always wanted to do everything we possibly could. Like, that's the fun. That always is what fills me at the end of the day, knowing that we can come through for somebody and be in a place people can count on. And balancing that with like what our capabilities are. So if we can't do it, I never want to say yes to it.
Okay. Yeah.
Period. If we can't do it in a way that I'm proud of, or we can't do it consistently,
Right.
Those were non-starters always. It was really about, that was probably the bigger question for me than anything else, is what can we do? What's going to feel good for our customers? Then it's hard for me to say no. I don't want to say no. And so I actually have a lot of respect for you for drawing those lines. I think the first mistake I made on our opening day was we had everything open. We had our online ordering, we had phone ordering, and we had the in-person, and we got blitzed. And it's funny on a day that's so amazing and right, what a great problem, right? So many people came. It was incredible and so humbling. I still felt awful that we didn't come through, that we made people wait, that we didn't have that done. And so the second day of that night, I sent an email out to people saying, we're actually going to turn off online ordering. We're going to turn off phone. We're really just going to nail in person to start. And that was hard because I want to be the place that, again, makes life easier, not harder for you. And over time, we've just been patient. Cool. Can we put this out? Does it make sense? So when we get to a black and white cookie, we've been working on this cookie, gosh, for so long, looking at everything, testing, and like our team is incredible. Like, I just love them so much because they're so patient and they're doing all the research and they're looking at the vanilla and the chocolate, trying to find the right balance. It can't be too much of a cookie. It needs that cakiness. It needs that little bit of lemon flavor that you get for whatever reason when you're in New York. And we're doing that work. We're not just trying to make it happen overnight. And I think it's a testament to the hunger. There's a drive to go do. And I've just been so impressed of our team of wanting to go do it. But you talk about salads, for instance. I thought that would be way more successful on the retail side. They've been moderately successful, and so we've been more thoughtful about the pars there. We want it to be a good option. It's been a great grab and go, but it didn't necessarily take off. And so, cool. If it's not working, or if it's not working at the level that you thought, let's pivot. We're really flexible that way too. I hate when people say, "This is the way we've always done it."
Yeah.
For anything. And people ask me about the recipes and how we can make it better. And I'm like, if we can make the bagel better, let's make the bagel better. This isn't something set in stone. I want to really encourage teammates to give feedback. If we can make a muffin better, then great. If we can make a cookie or anything, like, let's push those boundaries, because it's really lame. It'd be really lame of me to say, nope, sorry, this is it. We can't change it. That really discourages what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was a cook and a sous chef or a chef would tell me, well, we do it that way because we've always done it. I'm like, man, like either you don't understand it very well or there's no great reason to do it that way. So you need to go back and break it down.
Yes, I'm lost. Now you've lost me, because now we're not using our brains. And once we're not being thoughtful anymore, like that's one of our core values. And people ask like, hey, Alex, what's, and you ask what's too much or what's too little. And I'm like, well, let's just be thoughtful about it. If we can do it, if the team has capacity, if people want it, and we can do it on a consistent basis, if we've got it, a recipe, we can train it, we can do it consistently and standardize it, we can market it, and we can put it out there and people want it. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
This to me is where like the hospitality geniuses like Neil, our director of operations, come in, because, a guest will come in and let's say it's a slow night and they want a custom drink or a custom something that we have time to do that night.
Yes.
And so the question is, do we do this for them one time? And we always want return guests. But if they come back at a time that's 6:30 on a Friday night, we won't be able to do it. We won't have time to do it. We'll have to tell them no then, and it will look even worse. So that's when the hospitality geniuses can find alternatives to no that make the guests feel good, and they're not hearing the word no, but also not setting up unrealistic expectations. And it's so tough. And I heard an amazing Charlie Trotter quotation the other day that came across like Charlie Trotter snobbery, but it was truly about preserving that apex guest experience, because the chef knew better than the guest what the guest actually wanted, even though the guest said, I just want my scallops well done on mashed potatoes with, white cream sauce. He's like, that's going to look terrible. It's going to taste terrible. The texture's going to be terrible, and you're not going to like it. And that's going to reflect on me that you didn't like my food, but you chose it. So I don't know. I'm not sure there's an easy answer. That's where I stay in the kitchen and rely on the expert.
But I love everything you just shared though, Brandon. I feel like that's where our whole company starts from, right? So ours is be humble and be hungry. I want to make the fried egg for you, the egg over easy on the quiet Monday, because that's what you want. That's what you grew up eating. Now we do scrambled eggs every day, and I might not be able to do that for you on a Saturday on a football game day. But I do want to make it for you on that Monday morning when it's quiet. And I'm going to share with you. That's where our humanity comes. There's a human back here,
right? And
we're doing our best, but I got to say, oh gosh, I want to make you that fried egg so badly on this game day, but we're just so busy right now. So let me hook you up with two. And you know what? I'm going to make a note. Maybe I'm going to bring you another one later on. Maybe we've had a relationship. Maybe the next time I see you, we can do something special for you. I feel like if you just are honest and share, we really don't want to push anything under the rug and almost let them in. I love that our kitchen is open on the retail side. You can see what's happening. It's really transparent. And I feel like when you connect with people on that level, they can start to not be against you, but actually with you, and see it like, oh my gosh, yeah, there's no way you're going to have time to be cracking eggs and things like that when you've got all these consistent scrambled egg process going. So I feel like just connecting and being real with people has actually built more connection. And while disappointing someone actually, it never feels good, I can't handle it. I think there's a moment also where you can actually, in a mistake or in a moment where you let down, that's when things get vulnerable. And that's when I love when we can rise to the occasion. That's when you can really show up for someone and feel them in their feels or do something special when they least expect it. And I think that's actually when the connections start to come. Yeah. And I love the last thing you said too. You do have to make calls sometimes with people on I know you want it this way, but trust me, like let me lead you, let me show you this way too. Because there's something special about that as well. And it's cool that you can make that call and know that like, I got you here too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the great bartenders, the great servers, they can do that. They can get that across. And it's not a Jedi mind trick, but it's just a level of confidence and knowledge and empathy at the table or at the bar that they can make the guests feel good about it.
Yeah. One of our team members asked me yesterday, they're like, Alex, it was just me up front and there was a line out the door and, someone else was preparing a cold brew toddy and I got caught. Like, what do I do? Mm-hmm. And I said, that's a great moment to just share with the people what's going on.
Yeah.
They're real people. They're right there. Hey, everybody, I see you. Like, we're doing the best we can. I'm really, really sorry. Let me go back and see if I can grab the friend who's working on the cold brew toddy and let me bring them up.
Yeah, the difference that makes in the guest experience is unbelievable.
And they're just like, oh, you didn't ignore them. You didn't pretend they weren't there.
Right.
See them where they are. What would you want if you were standing in that line?
Yeah.
Man, I feel pretty good. It'd be really cool if you handed out some free coffees maybe. Maybe you say, hey, everyone, this one's on me today. I know everyone's been waiting because we've only got one line cooked today. And let me just take care of you. Little things like that, just take it out of there.
That will bring back the repeat guests. Even if they're standing in line mad, they're definitely coming back if they got treated that way.
And it's funny, and people start off with like, oh, everything's got to be perfect. I'm like, you just got to be real with people. And as long as you're trying, again, as long as you're living the values, you're showing a lot of care, you're showing a lot of hunger, you're moving at 1,000,000 miles per hour, and you see them, the customer will be like, man, that person's working really hard out there. And like, I really appreciate them right now.
Well, last question, I guess it's really two questions, but it seems like every time I'm in there, half the time you're handing me my bagels. A lot of time, I mean, every time I see you in there, do you have future plans to either, to be working on the business instead of in the business? And is acquisition a goal for y'all? Or expansion maybe?
Yeah. So for us, we sort of had that one pivotal moment. Do we do a second shop or do we continue to grow? For me, this community is really special and it played a lot of a role of why we're in Chapel Hill. There's that connection, there's that care. It's the people all around that have supported us. And that's something that really means a lot to me. I'm still learning. It's still new. It still feels young. So I'm just as much, and I love being in the business. Nice. And some of my mentors have said like the best thing to know of how your shop is doing is be there, be at the register, be part of it.
Yeah.
It's important for myself. It's important for our team. I think it's important for customers, and also like I love it. Mm-hmm. If you told me I could work the register all day, I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it. No problem. In terms of growth, we do spend a lot of time on working on the business and in the business, and so. What's great about the shop is, and the way it's sort of set up nicely is it's 6:30 to 2:30 every day. And so once, that early afternoon starts to come around, no matter what's going on, particularly during the week, I can be working on other things. I can be spending time working on the business and where we want to go. And for us, we really just want to keep growing and seeing what we can do in this community and can we keep providing different offerings and go sort of an inch wide, but a mile deep in this area. And be a lot of different things to this community. And that's where the expansion, at least at this point, is for me.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. This has been a real pleasure.
Appreciate it.
We're going to crush the bagels and the sandwiches back there. Thanks so much for bringing those.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Really had a great time.
Thanks for listening to today's interview today, y'all, with Alex Brandwein of Brandwein Bagels here in Chapel Hill. If you enjoyed today's episode, please forward it to two friends who have a bright future in the restaurant industry. Thank you. Stay humble. Stay hungry.